Salam guys, Ismi Jan, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to use the superlative and comparative in Arabic. Now, if you don't know what those words mean, don't worry too much. They're just kind of fancy words to describe something that you're all pretty familiar with in English already. Superlative is just like when we take an adjective and we add, est to the end. So like the smallest or the biggest or the happiest, for example. And comparative is just when we do the same thing but with smaller, bigger, happier, when you want to compare something to something else. So in Arabic it's just a little bit more complicated than that, but it's not so bad. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, and I'm just going to give you the translations of these three English superlatives in Arabic. Smallest is asghar, biggest is akbar, and happiest is asad. Now, I want you to perhaps pause the video for a couple of seconds and just sort of study these words very closely. And if you do so, you might notice two things. One of them is that each word is very similar to an adjective that you might already know. So asghar, for example, is very, very similar to saghir. Akbar is very similar to the adjective kabir. Happiest, again, very similar to another adjective that you might know, sa'id, right? So all these adjectives are small, big, and happy, right? And so more specifically, they share the same roots as the superlatives, right? And another thing that you might notice about the superlatives over here in red is that they all follow the same pattern, or the same wazn, right? Asghar, akbar, asad. It's the same pattern, and that pattern is pattern afal, or wazn afal, right? So essentially what's happening here is the superlatives in red are being derived from their respective adjectives. Now, how exactly does that work, right? This might be a review for some of you, but we're just going to go over it really quick. We're going to use two words, one from before and one new one. Let's start with kabir. Basically what happens is, in order to derive the superlative from the adjective, you extract the root and you insert it into wazn afal, right? So what's the root of kabir? It's kaf, right? And then the ba, and then the ra, right? And so the fa and the ayn and the lam are interchangeable, and you take the root and you put it in the same order, right? So the kaf goes first, and the ba goes next, and the ra goes where the lam is, right? And then that will make, and then the alif, of course, stays there, so that makes ak, bar, right? Akbar, right? Af'al. As you can see, it's the same root, right? Let's try one more. One word that we didn't use yet. One adjective we didn't use yet. And that is tawil. Now, you might know this one already. This just means tall, right? So let's do the same thing. We extract the root, so it's first is the ta, and then after that, the waw, and then the lam. And so the ta goes here, the waw goes where the ayn is, and the lam goes where the lam is here. And that gives us atwal, the short vowels in there. Atwal, right? Not so complicated. Alright, let's move on to the comparative. Okay, so how do we form the comparative? Well, the really good news here is that you actually use the same word as you do for the superlative, right? So for example, akbar will mean bigger, biggest, or bigger. um, the meaning of the word akbar changes depending on where you put it in the sentence, right? So, if we have it in the beginning, like akbar beit, it means biggest house, and if we have it at the end, after beit, the meaning changes to bigger house, right? So let's go over some sentences to just solidify that. Oh yeah, and one more thing is that when you're using the comparative, just like in English, like when we say something is bigger, we often say it's bigger than something else, because we make an explicit comparison is what it's called. You know, her house is bigger than mine, that guy is funnier than me. In order to say than, or to make an explicit comparison in Arabic, we use the preposition min, which you all should know means just from, but it means kind of like than in this context. So let's go over some examples. So, Beituha akbar min beiti. So so her house is bigger than my house. And let's just contrast that really quickly with superlative. Beiti akbar beit fil medina. So my house is the biggest house fil medina, in the city. So it's a superlative here. And you can tell by the placement of the word akbar. One more. So, ukhti atwal min akhi. So my sister is taller than my brother. It's an explicit comparison, right? And then just to contrast it with a superlative, waladi atwal shakhs fi usrati. So my father is the tallest person in my family. And you can once again just tell that it means tallest. It's a superlative by the placement of the word atwal in the sentence. So that is essentially how you form the superlative and the comparative in Arabic, and I hope that helps. As-salam.